What's up, everybody? Welcome to a really fun edition, a Thursday edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365, so use our code NATION, NATION, in all caps. We've got a great show for you today. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus. We've got Tyler Yaremchuk hopping on with us in about 30 minutes. He's been boots on the ground here in Montreal for a few days now. Doing media in the press box, really covering every single angle of this tournament. It was a blast last night at the Bell Center, and I love to see the chat buzzing here early in the morning. But Colby, what did you make of that game last night? I mean, watching it on TV, can you feel the energy come across? What was the production like?
That was the first game that I have been wildly entertained in a while. I thought that was awesome. I was like, give me more of this. I forgot how great this really is. I mean, and to put it in Canada to open the tournament was 100% the right decision. 100% the right decision. The fans in Montreal, and I know people probably came from all walks of the globe.
Yeah.
Were incredible. And, I really, it makes us thankful because we had Colby Armstrong on our show. Was it yesterday or the day before?
I think the day before.
And we talked about how boring the NHL's been. I mean, it's not been super entertaining other than what's happened with trades and player movement and contract drama and the Vancouver Canucks. New York Rangers.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not going to keep the Rangers in there?
That was a really entertaining hockey game. I mean, give me this instead of an all-star game 7 days a week. But, I mean, these guys...
You can't do it every year. You can't do it every year.
I know. Yeah. I do understand that. But just that game gives you an appreciation for the razor-thin margin of best on best. And we'll spend time today going through the goals. Talking about where the breakdowns happen. I actually thought Sweden had many more breakdowns than Canada in that game.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I thought Jordan Binnington was just okay. Sure, he made a couple of saves, late in the game, but to me, I'm not feeling the warm and fuzzy going back to Jordan Binnington in game two. I'm just not.
I agree.
So. I that was awesome. For everybody who wondered what this game would look like, I mean, look at the hit Dahlin had on McDavid.
Yep.
Look at the amount of checks. More checks were finished in that game than in the last month of the regular season in the NHL.
Yeah,
I think unbelievable.
I think it was Rickard Rakell who threw a big one on Morrissey too. Like there were some big hits, but one thing I really wanted to get out there just before we kind of dive into the X's and O's of the game and the game itself was I was sitting next to a couple actually that came from Nova Scotia. It's a 20-hour drive. It's a long flight. And they said, like, we're here because we've never seen, like, the boys from our town on the ice together. Like, they were there for Marchand, Crosby, and McKinnon, and all they wanted was one shift with those three on the ice together. And, like, I just thought that was really cool. And I was telling Dylan and Andy before we started the show this morning, like, while I did appreciate the game last night, I didn't have that national pride yet. Like, I think Monday night in Boston when I'm watching USA play, I'll have a little bit more of an appreciation. Like, wow, this is so cool watching Team USA play in America. But you could feel it from the people around you last night at the Bell Center, just like how excited they were every time Sidney Crosby stepped on the ice, every time McDavid was out there. When Makar, McDavid, and McKinnon were a line of three in overtime, the whole place stood up. Like, it was so cool. And I know we talked about 3-on-3 before, and I'm sure we'll get into that today too, because I think McDavid and McKinnon had differing opinions on the 10-minute overtime last night. But 3-on-3 at best on best, I don't know if there's better hockey than that.
It was as entertaining. Yeah, it was as entertaining as it can be. I mean, it really was. And it was interesting.
Sharma.
Brad Marchand doesn't get a shift in 3-on-3. Sid played the second shift of overtime, and you didn't see him for like 4 or 5 minutes. You saw McDavid and McKinnon a couple of times before they got Sid back out on the ice. I thought that some of those were interesting. And we talked about guys in their minutes and I think Canada, we know Travis Sanheim was obviously going to have to come in. I wouldn't be shocked to see Sam Bennett come in.
I was just going to say, I think Bennett's in too.
I think Bennett will come in for Travis Konechny. I think Konechny gets kind of caught on that game-tying goal. Look, you're the fourth line for Canada. You can't be -2, you know?
No.
Listen, I love Travis Konechny as a player, but you can't be -2 in 10 minutes of ice time. The margin of this game is it's just so thin. And really the only goal that I didn't really want to go through today, and if you want to go through it, we can go through the power play goal, the first goal of the game.
I mean, it's probably the one you don't have to.
It's a beautiful play, but I think everybody saw it. Everybody saw it for what it was. Just eyes in the back of your head. And Sidney Crosby, like, he was the best player on the ice.
Yeah, 3 primaries. I mean,
this guy is 37 years old. The best player on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had to show everybody last night, it's not McDavid's world. It's not McKinnon's world. I'm still here. And I appreciated that about him.
That was the coolest part, I think, for me. When they introduced Sidney Crosby before the game as a starter, the place went nuts. And then in overtime, he's out there. People are chanting like Crosby, Crosby. Like it was, that is something that I've probably never really experienced. This is not a comparison. I'm begging you not to twist my words. I've heard the Rempe chants in New York, but
John,
stop it. I'm saying that's the only other experience of that I've had.
Stop.
Stop.
I'm not even letting you go there. Stop it right now.
I was just saying that's the only.
You are going to go viral on the internet today for being a moron.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm literally prefacing that so I could say them chanting Crosby was like, because it's something that, like, it's the guy I grew up watching. It's the guy we all grew up idolizing. The only other player that I've seen or witnessed in person get chanted like that is Rempe, but it's for such a different reason. I wasn't trying to do it. I wanted to make sure I prefaced it that way.
Why do you have to discredit yourself so much?
But the love here, in seriousness, the love here for Sidney Crosby is unlike anything I've ever seen. It was incredible. It really was. And for him to have the assist, and I think he said he didn't even see it go in. I think he was on the bench because he made the drop pass and got off. So I don't even know if he saw the puck go in.
Yeah, well, and it's a good thing Mitch Marner scores that goal. Otherwise, the conversation today is all about Mitch Marner. It's all about Mitch Marner, and it's all about is this, look, you can equate this to playoff type of hockey, right? We always talk about in playoffs how thin the margin for error is. And I got to tell you, like, Mitch Marner left a lot on the table last night. He did. The game was tight. Like, obviously the first period was all Canada, and Brant sent us the ice tilt.
Mm-hmm.
The second and the third period, and I was texting with Frank about this morning, I didn't agree with him that Sweden sort of carried the play in the second and the third period. I thought it was really, really even. And we show the ice tilt, which, again, ice tilt has nothing to do with where the puck is. It's a pin between the net and where all the players on the ice are. And then when you see the numbers in brackets, that's like, I forget the word Brent used, but it's basically not just tilt. It's the highest level of tilt. It's when the pressure is way on. I like I said, maybe you can find it.
Significant tilt.
Significant tilt. So there was a significant push, for a minute and 11 seconds of the second period where Sweden really did carry the play. But for the most part, the game was even. The first period not so much in the overtime, but the two middle periods were pretty even games. And something that I really noticed, and here's where I want to start, Johnny, as far as breaking some of these goals down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the second goal for Canada. And I'll tell you why I think this is so important. To me, this goal changed the way Victor Hedman played the rest of the game. Stop it right here, okay? So go backwards if you could. So you see Victor Hedman. Keep going back. I'll let you know. There you go. You see Victor Hedman, who is really used to being able to make these aggressive type of plays in the neutral zone. And he's going against Cirelli here. Or excuse me, that's not Cirelli.
That's Jarvis.
That's Jarvis here on the wall. But he gets real aggressive here, and him and I don't know who his partner was on this goal. I want to say maybe
it looks like Brodin or
so.
Forsling, one of those two.
You see this, right? Hedman gets caught being overly aggressive in the neutral zone, and you see the 3 red sweaters against the 2 yellow sweaters, and go ahead, roll it along a little bit here to the blue line maybe, and obviously the pass gets slipped. Go ahead and pause it right here. And we know what happens here, right? Brad Marchand gets the dunk, but the reality is if you watched Victor Hedman play the rest of the game, and really Sweden in general, they locked down the neutral zone after this. I mean, they really did. I mean, they had 1 turnover that cost them on the next goal. That was high in the offensive zone. But I felt like Victor Hedman, that was his moment of like, this is not a regular season game where I can get away with these types of things.
Yeah.
This is a game where I need to be aggressively conservative through the neutral zone, because look how quick I'm getting burnt by 3 all-stars that are playing not in all-star fashion, but they're playing, like playoff style fashion with a bunch of all-star players.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, in the playoffs, Colby, you're a defenseman. You were a defenseman, coming up. Obviously, for people who don't know, aren't you taught as a defenseman to always stay inside the dots? Like, to me, that's a simple mental error too of Victor Hedman trying to close out a play that normally he'd probably hold the middle and just allow, maybe not allow the 3-on-2 to happen, but accept that rush a little bit more and just try to close a gap as opposed to, going outside the dots and trying to close. I agree.
Like you against this level of talent, you've got to drop back and play it a 3-on-2. But Sweden really tightened themselves up after this.
Victor Hedman's also a monster out there.
Yeah,
he is far and away the biggest guy on the ice when you're in person. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a big man. He covers a lot of space. So Hedman gets caught there on that goal. Go ahead, Andy. You can finish this clip out. Obviously we know this ends up in the back of the net. And then things, obviously Sweden gets their goal, which again, the Swedish goal to me, especially the first goal, was a bad goal. The Brodin goal, right? I think I think Darren Pang tried to kind of help out the goaltender last night, give him a little bit of credit here.
Well, he's a goalie himself.
Exactly. He said there was a flash screen. You know what? If you're Jordan Binnington, there's no reason for you to be shrinking down that much. There's just no reason that shot should beat you. I just think that's problematic if you're Team Canada to see a goal like that go in. He's just off his angle, in my opinion, and his shoulders are so low. I just think there's just no way this should go in. And to me, I thought Binnington was leaky on 2 of these goals. So again, not really a breakdown for Canada. Like, I think Canada's defensive posture on this goal is pretty good.
Yeah, it's a shot from the boards.
Yeah, your goaltender has to make that save.
No tip, nothing.
Right.
I mean, and listen, Darren Pang's not wrong. Like, Rickard Rakell comes through the crease and the shot comes shortly after. But that is a play where if you look at Binnington's short side, there's a lot of space there. And he's on his knees. On the second goal, I don't know if we want to go to the Sweden second goal right away, or if you want to
let's go to the
Canada. The Canada third goal is
that's the goal that happened next, right?
Yeah, I think that's the one to look at for sure.
And this is look, again, we talk about razor thin margins. Okay,
yeah.
So
can I preface one thing before you start?
Go ahead.
I saw Mike Bartner, who is a pretty.
Stop it, Andy. Stop the video. Stop the video.
And if you can rewind to the beginning, that'd be great. I saw Mike Bartner, who's a pretty popular content creator in the NHL. He put this on Mika Zibanejad originally, because I think there's 2 players to watch here. So before we do the clip, watch 88 in yellow and watch 93 in yellow. But to me, Mika Zibanejad has nothing to do with this play. And I just wanted to preface that originally because I saw him taking a lot of blame. And right now he's an NHL punching bag right now. But I think if you watch this clip, 93, and I know you're going to go through it, is not the guy to blame here.
No, so start rolling it along a little bit here. I mean, look, actually stop it. Do me a favor and stop it, because here's the thing, and go back a little bit here, Andy. When you're forechecking, right, you obviously always want to have a good F3, good third man high. But you look on your screen right now, Canada's got 4 guys basically bottom of the circles or lower. Right? You see Brodin barely on your screen here who's already pre-pinching down. Do you see him, Johnny? Does everybody see him?
Odin?
You could just see his head on the
Bottom
weak
middle.
side.
Yeah, bottom middle.
Right, bottom middle. He's in a good spot because if Sweden wins this puck battle, they can release it to him, right? And so for Zibanejad, like it's a 4-on-4 down low. So yeah, you can get on Zibanejad a little bit for wandering into the pile and not going in with a little bit more pace, but I think that this falls on Willie Nylander. This is a turnover that falls on Willie Nylander. So go ahead, roll the video. So this is a turnover in a terrible spot against Team Canada's top line, right? And now pause it as we get in here. Go ahead and give it a pause, right? Right here. Okay. Go back a little bit here, Andy. Couple of frames. Sweden is in unbelievable. Like that's good right there.
Yeah,
right there. Sweden's defensive posture here couldn't be any better. I mean, Forsling's doing a phenomenal job on one of the greatest of all times. He's got him on the outside. He's leaning on him. Crosby's got one hand on his stick. Brodin's in a good spot. McKinnon doesn't drive the net hard at the beginning here, so he's kind of waiting. And then you've got Nylander and Zibanejad who are back. So give this a couple more rolls forward, but don't go too far. And, you know, again, you're good. And then here we go with a buzzword, puck watching. Willie Nylander
back once.
He just drifts. He doesn't look for Stone. And when you play against two of the best players on the planet, they're going to fit this play into an incredibly small window, and they're going to hurt you. And to me, this is a massive breakdown by Willie Nylander and honestly Zibanejad too, because it's like if Nylander is not engaged in his puck watching, there's no reason that Zibanejad can't help here either. But this falls in, to me, mostly on 88 and yellow. You know, and you can roll it and let the goal happen now. And I'm sure Johnny wants to add something, but like you just, those are going to end up in the back of your net against the line of McKinnon, Crosby, and Mark Stone. It's going to happen to you a lot.
Yeah. And if you can just kind of rewind it to where Sid is about to turn and make the pass, I also want to preface or say that, like, what a fucking play by Sidney Crosby. I mean, he has literally a millisecond to make this pass, and he picks his head up so quickly, tape to tape, and Stone wastes no time. Like, while it is a breakdown on Sweden, I think you also we have to recognize the greatness of Crosby here, like the strength of Crosby going against Gustav Forsling, who's one of the toughest defensemen to play against in the National Hockey League and probably in the world, obviously in the world if he's on Team Sweden, and he outmuscles him and makes the play. Like, I thought this was such a sick play by Crosby as much as it was a breakdown by Sweden. And I think this is why best on best is so fun to watch, because like Colby said, if you make that one little error, it can pay dividends, you know? So hell of a play by Crosby, great recognition by Stone just to release it as quick as he can and not try to stick handle. Like, that's on his taping off within a second. But just overall a really sick play.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the margins are so thin that you just can't. You get caught puck watching against those three players, it's gonna be a goal.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a goal. And again, that was really their only bad breakdown that they had the second half of the game, Sweden, and it ended up in the back of their net. It's like, to me, this game felt like a Stanley Cup Game 7. It really did. It felt like physical. It felt like it got tight after maybe a bit of a loose start. There wasn't a ton of power plays.
Yeah, which I didn't like. I kind of
the game was tight. I thought it was so well done. And Drew Doughty said it's the fastest game he's ever played. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, that guy's played in the Olympics. He's played. I mean, Doughty's done a lot. He said it's the fastest game he's ever played.
Just one comment I want to address from This Is Better, or Is This Better? Excuse me. Like, I don't look at Nylander and Zibanejad in that clip as coasting. Like, they're in fine position. Coasting is when a guy is a step ahead of you and you're not moving your feet. Like, to me, Nylander's fine there. He just doesn't have his head on a swivel and doesn't, pick up Mark Stone's stick. He's not like necessarily coasting. He's in fine position. If Stone was ahead of him and Nylander looked like that, I'd call that coasting. I don't know if you agree or not.
Well, I don't think Nylander was coasting because I think he got back to a spot, but I think Zibanejad can keep skating there. I think he stops moving his feet. and he stays on the outside from a body positioning standpoint,
Mhm.
if Zibanejad takes a couple more hard strides, he's probably able to get to the inside of the body positioning. He probably can negate that play.
Yeah.
He does stop skating. I mean, and he does that with the Rangers all the
Probably
time.
because he thinks that Nylander's in position. That's probably why.
Yeah, I mean, you always back check all the way to the house. If you stop moving your feet before you get to the house, you're just asking to be exposed on video, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
if Zibanejad keeps skating there and they still make the play, like you can't point fingers at him.
Mhm.
So I just think he opens himself to criticism because he stops skating.
Do we want
But
to keep going?
who had the tweet that said it was all on Zibanejad? Who was that again?
Mike Bartner. I actually really like him a lot. I do like him a lot.
Really,
He's a
is
big
there
Islander.
anybody you ever say that you don't really like them a lot? Like, have you ever been critical of anybody in your life?
Not really. I mean, I even like you a lot, and you're nothing but mean.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean. So like when you tell me how much you like someone, I don't put a lot of stock into it because you say the same thing about everybody.
Fair. He's a big Islanders fan. But do
Aren't
we want
you?
a big Islanders fan? I thought
Yeah.
I was a Devils fan.
I mean, you're getting an Islanders tattoo and they make the
That's
playoffs.
not happening. But do we want to go into the other goals? We have Tyler coming on in 7 minutes. I think there's like other topics we can talk about because I do want to get into like the nitty gritty with Tyler about like lineup decisions.
Let's talk. We can do that with Tyler, but let's take a look at Sweden's third goal here. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we talked about potentially seeing Travis Konechny come out of the lineup.
Yeah.
10 minutes of ice, -2. His first time playing at this level. Konechny, and it's been a while since he's played real meaningful games, obviously being in Philly. And it's kind of unfortunate what happens here. Go ahead, Andy, if you can, so stop it right here. You see Konechny, he just gets on the wrong side of things. I think that's Jesper Bratt.
Yeah.
He's going for that puck. Hedman is really his guy, but as a winger, you just can't sell out and end up in that spot because you've got to be the guy that sort of takes away dot lanes and seam plays. And go ahead, Andy, you can roll this a couple of clips here. That's exactly what ends up happening, right? Like, obviously, Morrissey got dragged out of place too here as well, so he gets to share the blame on this. But between Morrissey and Konechny, neither of them are in position. Neither of them take the seam away. And when you're playing against all-stars, you've got to have those details buttoned up in your game. And you saw late in the game, I'm pretty sure they took Konechny off that line and they went Hagel, Cirelli, and Point, and they ran that Tampa line late in the game, a couple of shifts, for John Cooper, which you can't blame the guy to do. He wants guys out on the ice. I think it was maybe even the last minute of the game or last 2 minutes of the game he threw that line out.
2 or 3 shifts together, I think.
But it definitely was I think Konechny gets caught here. Morrissey gets caught here. Canada's down to 6 defensemen, so no defensemen are coming out of the lineup for Team Canada. You got to lose 3 players to be able to bring in a new player, and they obviously haven't done that. So it's a breakdown. This is a breakdown. I think this was Canada's really only big breakdown that cost them a goal. Like I said, I thought the other 2 goals should have been saved.
Yeah, I agree. Hell of a play by Jesper Bratt, though, to make this pass. Like, he could have easily shot it in that pressure of a moment, but to find Eriksson Ek backdoor. And I think Eriksson Ek actually, gets himself open. I'm pretty sure he was on the near post originally and then creeps over to the back post to create a lane for Bratt to pass it to him. Andy, if you can rewind it just for one quick second. I guess he starts in front of the net and then realizes and opens up. Yeah, so maybe it wasn't as impressive as I thought.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I think that's a routine play for Jesper Bratt. Like, same thing I said to you last night after the first goal. I said, it was a pretty looking goal, but Sidney Crosby does that all the time. Like, that's not new.
But that was so, dude, watching McDavid go to Crosby to McKinnon, like, come on. You couldn't say that.
Like I say, I just, these are the best 5 of the best players on the planet. Like,
I know
these guys do these things. It's not surprising when you see Crosby.
It's not surprising. It's just enjoyable.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. There's no doubt about it. So that's kind of where the goals came from, and with only 1 game and no NHL, you probably can get used to hearing us, doing some of these breakdowns and looking at a lot of where these goals happen and were they great plays or were they bad breakdowns, right? Because there obviously is one of the two. So All right, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes till Tyler joins us. He's doing some radio stuff in Edmonton for Edmonton radio stations right now. So, we'll wait to get him on. But where else did you want to go with it, Johnny, before we get Tyler on?
I want to talk about 10-minute overtime. McDavid said, I think the quote was like, if the NHL is trying it, I think nobody wanted to see that game go to a shootout. And I'm pretty sure Nathan McKinnon was like, I was gassed. Like, I don't know if I want that. I'm pretty sure they had differing opinions on it. But what did you make of the 10-minute overtime? Is that something that the NHL could
What did
do?
McDavid say? I didn't hear McDavid's.
I'll find the tweet. It was
I know McKinnon said he was gassed and he doesn't want 10-minute overtime. He said 7 minutes at the most, right?
Yeah, the tweet was from Michael Russo, friend of the show. He said, McDavid says the 10-minute overtime is a good, in quotes, trial run for NHL games because nobody wanted to see this go to a shootout, which I guess he felt as well playing in the game. And being in the building, like, I agree. Everyone was on their feet. It was exciting, nonstop action. I thought Ekholm was going to actually tuck it on the wraparound chance that he had before McKinnon then came down on the 2-on-1 with McDavid. That was like, to me, that sequence was awesome, where I also saw people saying like McKinnon was selfish in overtime and didn't like because he didn't pass to McDavid on a 2-on-1 doesn't make him a selfish player. Like, I think the play was taken away. It was actually a really good defensive play by, I believe, Ekholm at the time. I thought
McKinnon that 3 on, you're talking about that 3-on-1?
It was more of a 2-on-1, I'd say.
2.5-on-1.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Ekholm, you couldn't ask for a guy to play that better.
No,
he took away the pass. He threw him off the angle. I mean, Ekholm was a beast at times last night. I mean, he really was. Like, even the play where McDavid came down on him and he almost he almost fell. He almost put Ekholm back on his heels so much that Ekholm almost bit it. And, ultimately he was able to keep his balance and then stay on his hip. Ekholm was really good at times in that game. Really good.
I thought Dahlin was too, and Dahlin didn't see a shift in overtime. And I told you before yesterday, I was like, Rasmus Dahlin, I'm telling you, he's going to have a big tournament. And he obviously, I think you mentioned it earlier in the show, cross-checks McDavid early on, even though McDavid cross-checked him first. And the people next to me were like, oh, someone's going to go after Dahlin now. I was like, is that what's going to, is it going to turn into that? Like, if McDavid gets touched, is someone going to, I don't think anyone's dropping the gloves in the tournament, right? Like,
Dahlin played.
David cross-checks him high first, and then Dahlin puts him on his ass.
Dahlin played 17-15. So him and Brodin played 17-15, and everybody else played 18, 19, 24, 25, and 27. So I thought Dahlin was good too, honestly. To me, he just was pretty good defensively. And he made some plays, obviously, but was physical. Played probably a little out of his comfort zone with how physical he played. But I see people in the chat. 10-minute overtime is a must, Jeremiah said. Listen, I know we all have the answers, but the one thing we have to remember is, the players ultimately have a map. They have 50% say. The owners have 50% say. The players have 50% say. And, you got to add up all the time that you might have to spend on overtime. And you got to do a little analysis of how many games went to the shootout. How many more minutes played is that on guys? Think about it. That means McDavid's going to play, because it's not like Edmonton's rolling out 4 lines in overtime, right? Most teams have 3 sets of pairs and 2 defensemen, maybe a third defenseman getting a shift in overtime. So are you really going to be able to do that and not wear guys down on an 82-game schedule?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot. And the one other play I just wanted to point out too, Andy, if you can cue up that McDavid play early in the game, this is where I was like, dude, this is just fucking sick. McDavid has this play where he burns somebody wide. I think misses the net on his forehand and then gets the puck back and goes between his legs and goes backhand. The building after this was just like, oh my God, like this is 4 minutes into the game. We were in for a treat watching McDavid and these guys on the ice together. That play, you can turn it off now, Andy. I mean, like, this is where the All-Star game part comes in, right? Like, McDavid and these guys, I think Marchand went between his legs once. They understand that they also are trying to entertain here. While they do want to play the game hard, they're still here to show off a little bit, I feel like, and that's not lost. But I wonder, the USA guys tonight, like, are they going to be doing showboating even though it's not on USA home soil? I think that's more something that they might hang on to next week.
What do you
These
mean by
games,
that? What do you mean
what?
by that? Showboating? Like, what are you
Well, like,
really referring
going
to?
between their legs or like doing things that are fancy. Maybe, yeah, I guess, Arthur's saying it's a bad take. It's not showing off, but like, being a little bit fancier. I think just trying to
I
entertain
mean,
the
you don't
crowd.
think that him pulling the puck between his legs there is just like a play? Like you
No,
thought that was a fancy
it's a
play?
great move, but I think I don't see McDavid do that often. When does McDavid put the puck between his legs? I've never seen
I
him do
mean,
that.
I think McDavid does whatever he needs to do to protect the puck, whether he pulls it
I've
through his
never
leg.
seen him put the puck between his legs like that ever.
I just think that's so common now. Guys pull the puck between their legs and then they use, like, for me, I'm a righty. If I'm pulling the
Yeah.
puck between my legs, I'm then going to use my right leg to like create,
No,
separation.
I know what you're saying. I just don't see McDavid do that specific play.
Yeah, see, I would disagree with you there. I think he does that pretty consistently, and I think that I didn't see any level of showboating at all, and I don't think Team USA gives a shit about where they're playing. The reality is they're playing Finland tonight. I guarantee you the Bell Center will be absolutely popping, right? Like, this is why Canada is great with hockey. This is why I always say that World Junior should pretty much be in Canada every year. Nobody does these things like Canada. I'm sure Boston will be great, but I just think that you got to give Canada the credit where credit is due, and you got to give the fans credit where credit is due, and they bring an atmosphere like nobody else in the game of hockey. But let's ask Tyler. Tyler watches every single Edmonton Oilers game a year, 82 in playoffs. He probably sees preseason games too. I didn't see that as showboating.
I don't even think it was like a hot take. I didn't think that was like a hot take at all. People are saying, like,
all right, well, Tyler's here, so read him into the show, and then let's start with that.
All right, so before we bring Tyler on, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at parasso-usa.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. We got a cool little sponsored segment coming with Parasso next week that I'm pumped about. Big thanks to Kobe for helping out too. But let's bring Tyler into the show and let's talk about the Connor McDavid play. Did you see the clip we just posted, Tyler?
Well, hold on. Let me preface it because I know you just logged in, Tyler. Let me just preface it by this.
Preface it in a way that makes me look dumb for sure.
Well, I mean, you do that pretty well all on your own. But let's just say this. Johnny made a comment and said, do you think Team USA is going to showboat like Team Canada did, or will they save it until they're in Boston on home soil? I mean, Johnny, is that not what I said? If you want to rephrase
say
it.
Team Canada showboated. I said there were a couple plays where McDavid went between his legs and Marshall went between his legs to showboat in front of the crowd and entertain.
Please tell me, Tyler, does McDavid not pull the puck between his legs to protect the puck because it's a Wednesday normally? Like, I'm a little, I don't understand the showboating angle here from Johnny.
Yeah, I disagree. Again, to me, that was last night Connor McDavid being in, what we call the video game mode that he gets into sometimes, where he just is almost out there doing whatever he wants, and that's what makes him dangerous. He's unpredictable. He can make highly skilled plays that no one else could. I mean, it's best on best hockey. I don't think anyone was going out there trying to show anybody up or trying to even put on a show for the crowd. I think that was a tight 1-goal hockey game for the majority of the 67 minutes that we saw. And yeah, I didn't see that at all as being, showboating. Again, if USA is going to go out there and make highly skilled plays on Saturday or on Monday when the tournament goes to Boston, I think they're justified in doing so.
Just to be clear, I didn't mean it in a like they were disrespecting Sweden. I meant they were playing up to the crowd. That's all I was really saying.
Yeah, I didn't really pick up on
hands between the legs move. Like, he could have easily come in and like ripped a shot. He went between his legs in like a play that was like, I thought he was feeling the energy from the crowd and wanted to do something fancy.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a little bit of that, but like also that's a good thing. Like, we saw the guys.
No, I agree.
Yeah, like they came out of the gates physical, and like, who knows if that crowd isn't as amped up as it is, and if the crowd doesn't pop the way it does when Mario comes out, maybe some of those players aren't as ready to come out of the gates and play physical. So, maybe were the players doing a little something for the crowd? Sure. I think the crowd also did a lot for the players last night. Like that building was
yeah. Home ice advantage. They're like, I mean, Canada does this better than anyone. They do this better than anyone. And someone in the chat said, how many games has Colby seen in Finland? I think Ulrich said, hold on, how many junior games has Colby seen in Sweden or Finland? I've never seen a World Junior game in Sweden or Finland. I've played in Finland, so I've played games in the pro league there, and I think the fans are incredible. A lot of the smaller towns, especially, I think the fans are amazing over there, but I just think nobody does this like Canada. I whether it's World Juniors, whether it's World Cup, whether it's Olympics, I just personally believe that Canada gets the coverage that the NFL gets in America, and I think it just makes it feel so much bigger. And granted, I'm an American through and through, and all I ever want to do is beat Canada, but you've got to give them the flowers where the flowers are due. And I think that's kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to that. Tyler, let's get to something a little bit more important. Put your coaching hat on for us and tell us about lineup decisions and specifically goaltending. We've been, I wouldn't say highly critical of Binnington on the show to start, but to me, he was just very average last night. Sure, he made a couple of big saves. Sure, he gets the win. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that he should be in the net in game 2, in my opinion. You've been there. You've talked to the coaches. You've talked to players. You've been all over this stuff. Where do you sit with that?
Well, so I kind of said coming into the game that like there's going to be 2 situations that make the decision very easy, right? Binnington plays great, gives up 2 or fewer goals, has 20-some saves, and it's like, okay, he's good. He passed his first test. No reason to take him out. Or Binnington gives up 5 goals. They lose the game, and you're like, well, back against the wall. Can't go back with that guy. Mm-hmm. This is almost the weird mushy middle where, like you said, Cole, he gave up a couple of goals that you don't love. I don't think any of those goals you like. Even the third one where it looks like a guy who's just backdoor tapping one in, but like he kicked that rebound right over there. He wasn't prepared for the shot. So I didn't like any of the 3 goals that he gave up. Not good. But then he made a handful of big saves, a couple of great plays in overtime to keep things alive and not have an offensive zone faceoff either. So it's like, where do I come out on it? I think if he was your guy for game 1 and that's what your gut told you to do in a short tournament like this, you give him the start on Saturday and give him a chance to get going a little bit. I don't think bringing in Adin Hill, who now wouldn't have played a hockey game in 7 or 8 days at this point, I don't think bringing him in cold to a game that big is a good idea. I think in a short tournament, if you viewed Binnington as your guy, then he is your guy. You get 2 days off here. It's not like he's going to be tired. He has a full opportunity to rest up. I go right back to Jordan Binnington because you got to trust your gut, got to trust your guy.
Well,
wow, I thought
Wayne
for sure
Gretzky agrees with you. By the way, just so you know, I'm sure you probably didn't get to see TNT's post game last night, but the great one agrees with you, Tyler.
Yeah, hey, good to hear. Again, like you just got to trust him. Honestly, there's one change I make, and I liked the way the top 6 was structured. I didn't even like the Marner-McDavid duo. I was a little bit nervous about, but I thought they were fine. Good job pushing the pace off the rush. The third line I thought was great. Like in a best-on-best tournament, when you need guys to accept roles and play different spots than they're used to, I thought Marchand, Point, and Jarvis did that to a T. They were a great third line. But I see someone says in the chat here, time for Bennett. I go Bennett for Konechny as my only switch. I felt like
what we said.
Konechny was a little bit lost out there at times. I didn't love what I got from him. So it's a game against Team USA. I want a bit more bite in my bottom 6. Easy decision.
Yeah, and I think Konechny needs to play more on the edge. And look, Travis Konechny has never been in these situations before, probably feeling a slight level of intimidation. Travis Konechny is a pretty fearless guy, but I think when you're sitting in a locker room before the game and you're looking over and it's Crosby and McDavid and McKinnon, like there has to be a little bit of, butterflies in your stomach. And I really love Travis Konechny. I think it's such a shame that so much of his career has gone to kind of meaningless games because his team has just never been good. But I would make the same change, Tyler. Johnny and I both agreed on that change before you came on. So we definitely are in lockstep there. I just want to go on the record here. I would go to Adin Hill. The guy's won a Stanley Cup. He's played in big games.
Well,
Bruce
so is
Cassidy.
Bennington.
Bruce Cassidy is on the bench. Yeah, but Hill won it closer to this tournament, right? Like Bennington's was what, 18, and Hill's was 20.
Bennington's 2019, and Hill was 2022, 23,
Right.
23.
Right. So, I also think that both of those guys have been a little bit hot and cold in their careers since. But again, I just think the margins are too thin, Tyler, and I just did not like two of those goals. I felt like two of those goals were just you have to save those against teams like this. So I just wanted to go on the record saying that.
Yeah, I do feel for Montembeault. That sucks that he's probably not even gonna get in the game. Like to be in Montreal, home crowd, Team Canada, and not even see action. Like that sucks, man. But I don't want to make that a conversation. Like it's not.
Oh, well, actually, quickly, I actually feel like I feel the least worst for him out of all the
He's
three
just
goalies.
enjoying it. No
Well,
pressure.
he's sleeping in his own bed cold. Like every other goalie that's coming to this tournament to sit up in the press box is sleeping in a hotel and away from their family. At least Montembeault's at home in Montreal.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for him at all. I
Yeah.
think that this is not a feel-good tournament. This is a let's go out and put our best on best. I don't think Montembeault should even be on this team, in my opinion. So I don't think we can go into that whatsoever. I am excited to see Travis Sanheim in the lineup, though. I think Travis Sanheim has an opportunity to show people that not enough people are talking about him. I believe that because he's been on a bad team his whole career, similar to Konechny, I don't think people realize just how good he can be. And so I'm
excited.
excited.
Had that tweet.
What did Farabee say? I didn't
remember. Jay Fresh put out like, how did this guy make Team Canada? And Joel Farabee said, "Watch a game." Remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do remember that. I do remember that. So, what are you expecting tonight, Tyler, in the building? Johnny and I were talking about this, about, I said the building will be loud and crazy. Because this is Montreal, like it's hockey, but looks like you may not agree.
I don't know if it'll be like rocking and crazy just because.
Well, last night was,
last night was crazy. So it definitely set like a really, really high bar. And because this isn't a tournament with an Olympic gold medal or some sort of historical meaning, I'm not sure how many Americans are traveling in to watch Team USA at the Four Nations in Montreal, right? Like, I wonder how many people in the crowd are going to be invested in either a Finland or a USA win. How split will the crowd kind of be? Will, of those interested, will 80% of them be cheering for Team USA, 20% Finland? Will that gap be different? And again, if it's just filled with like people from Montreal whose company bought a ticket package and this is the game they got, I think it might be like a relatively quiet crowd in there. But with that being said, I think the league did a really good job last night of bringing the atmosphere out of the crowd. And I could see them doing something similar. There's a good light show before the game, all that stuff. So I don't think it'll be disappointing, but I don't think it'll be rocking.
Okay.
Two things from that. One, are you covering the game tonight in the press box?
I think so. I have my press passes for all the games. So yeah, I'm assuming I'll be up there.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you were just doing Canada games or if you wanted to go as a fan tonight. I was gonna say I have 4 extra tickets. So
maybe we'll talk.
Well. So I was.
Do you want to sit in the press box, or do you want to go drink beers and watch the game with Johnny? I think you should go.
You wouldn't even
beer.
Be sitting with me, which is the better part about it. It's 4 separate.
Wow. Now maybe I'll fly up and go with you, Tyler. I mean, now he's speaking my language. Get to hang out with Tyler, and I don't have to fly all the way to the North Pole and no Johnny. Like, let me check flights.
Yeah. I was gonna offer them to Tyler first, and if Tyler can't. If anyone in our chat or listening to the show is in Montreal and wants to go to the game tonight, I would love to give you 4 tickets in section, I believe 108. Like really good tickets.
Johnny, why don't you do 2 and 2? Why don't you pick 2 different people and do 2 tickets for 2 and 2?
Whatever. They're all 4 together. So wow. I want to give these away to anyone who is here, anyone looking for tickets. I have them, so DM me. Tyler, I wanted to give first dibs to though, if you wanted to watch as a fan, but it seems like he's going to cover it. Second, what? Okay. We'll talk after. Second thing, though, I was saying this before. Like, while last night was amazing, I'm sure it was way different for you. Like as an American, I appreciated it, but I never had the chills or anything just because I'm not, there's no national pride for me in that game. And even tonight, USA versus Finland, I don't think I'll have that probably until Monday when we're in Boston, watching USA on home soil. But for you, like I know you're wearing the credential and you're in the press box, but how hard was it for you to like contain the goosebumps and the emotion of watching those guys play together?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got chills and like watching Sidney Crosby as the camera pans to him on the Jumbotron and the anthems playing. It was like, man, that is so cool. And like, again, as a hockey fan, like if you can't get up for that, like the best player of his generation playing on a massive stage for his country, like it's unbelievable. And just the quality of hockey too, like even to take the Canadiana side or out of it, like, it's been 9 years since we've had best on best. And to sit here and I had a moment in the first period where I just kind of shook my head. I was like, man, every player is so good. And it's like, yeah, it's best on best
Unreal.
hockey, right? Like the
So
hockey is
good.
just so good. And like, we're going
I
to get
know.
that for every game this tournament. So, I mean, the Canadian side of it, great. As an Edmonton guy, getting to see Connor McDavid like finally represent Team Canada in a meaningful hockey game was awesome. And getting to see him play off of other elite guys. Like he made a sweet pass to Cale Makar at one point, and I was like, oh my God, how long have we been waiting to see a connection like that for Team Canada? So the whole thing was just awesome. And then again, to remove the Canadian side of it, like there's a reason you guys are still talking about it at the 47-minute mark of your show. Cause like, man, that was just electric hockey. And it's what we've been craving for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was a lot of doubters. And I hope all the doubters are done being doubters, because I think that was the most entertaining game we've seen since Game 7 last year of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe not for you, Tyler. That game has a little bit of a different taste in your mouth, but I think it's going to be great in there tonight. Look, when Mario Lemieux came out on the ice and did that with like, I'm an American. I want Canada to lose every single time they play. But as a hockey person, Mario Lemieux is such a big part of my childhood. I mean, even as a Pittsburgh Penguin, but it's you just can't not appreciate it. You can't not sit there and appreciate greatness, and even if it's players you hate. And I've seen some Flyers fans in here in our chat say, even I really appreciated what was going on with Crosby last night. You just have to appreciate greatness. And I'm glad everybody got a taste of that last night. Now the bar is really high.
Yeah.
Like the bar is now set really high. And I got to tell you, Team USA better put up or shut up. I mean, you're not happy to be here anymore. It's you're technically maybe quote unquote the favorite, right? Because you're goaltending, but you better not blow this game against Finland tonight. You better put your best foot forward in this tournament, because otherwise, like, the hype is just nothing but hype.
Yeah, and that's fair. I do kind of think, like, who knows what we see from Finland? Obviously, a very proud nation. Those guys in the room are going to go hard, but that USA forward group going up against that Finnish blue line, I'm kind of like, I got a funny feeling we're going to get at least one blowout in this tournament. And I don't know if it'll come Monday when Canada plays Finland or when USA plays Sweden, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's tonight if we see like a 3-4 goal spread.
Yeah, the Finland team is the team that I think everyone's like, it could be point night just because they're decor. That's really what it is to me. And Tyler, we have some orders of business to get to here. If you want to stay on with us to do, our Bet 365 and our Out West worst, I guess we're going to do Out West worst player of the game, I think is what we're going with.
That's what we went with for today.
And I want to be clear. Had Marner not scored in overtime, it would have been him. I thought Marner was invisible, honestly, until overtime. I swear. And I don't know if I think you said you liked the way you played with McDavid, but that was my takeaway. I saw someone in the chat say Marner showed up in a big game. I think it was Michael Borland. But I wasn't too impressed with Marner, but we're going to go into it from Out West. If anyone wants to write in the chat, give us your Out West most underwhelming player of the game from last night. Put it in the chat. I want to see who you guys think while I give a word here. Fellas, Valentine's Day is right here. It's tomorrow. And if you're still scrambling for the perfect gift, we got you covered. Out West hoodies are 20% off now through Saturday. If you've already picked up a Sakara performance hoodie, then you know your wife or girlfriend has probably stolen it to lounge in. Solve that problem in one easy step. Head over to outwest.us and grab one of these hoodies while their special lasts. Use code VD25 in all caps, VD25 at checkout to apply this discount. Out West, every game needs an outlaw, and our Out West most underwhelming player of the game. You guys are all starting to say it. Is this better? I'll go with that comment. Nylander was doo-doo. I thought Willie Nylander had a tough game. I didn't think he was all that impressive. He obviously was sleeping on the goal that Mark Stone scored. He misses a breakaway in overtime or a semi-breakaway. He got a pass on a 2-on-1. He takes the penalty in the beginning of the game to put Canada on the power play. Tough game from 88 in yellow, I thought. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I thought he had some nice rushes, like in that first period. And as the game went on, I noticed him less. In the first period, at least, though, there was a couple of times where you could tell he was trying to make something happen offensively. So I appreciated that because there was no one else on that Swedish team in the first 20 minutes who could do much with the puck on their stick. And I felt like Nylander was at least trying. I would maybe pick like one of Pedersen or Zibanejad. Just again, down the middle was my concern with this Swedish team coming in. And it was like, okay, they're going to need one of those two guys to kind of return to their older selves here and really dial it in for this tournament. And neither of them did.
Well, yeah, those two are expected to underwhelm, though.
Yeah, fair.
Colby, you're muted.
You're muted, Colby.
I've been muting myself because I've been coughing, but Pedersen was just up to his old self last night. Just all on the perimeter, just absolutely no bite to his game, no ability to get inside the dots, really no opportunities to go driving the net. I thought he was way more invisible than Zibanejad. I thought at times in the game, Zibanejad actually tried to engage and be involved, but I thought Pedersen was just so underwhelming. But Nylander turnover, that whole goal, it starts with a Nylander turnover and then a Nylander missed coverage. And then you can put the power play goal on him as well. Like, those things do add up. So I think we're all kind of in the same boat on that and where we think about that.
And we don't want to pick on him. It's just we do our Out West versus team of the week, and there's no team of the week to pick from. So we decided to transition into a player, and that's where we went with that. But also, I don't know if we want to get into it, Colby. I know we kind of are in a time crunch for today's show, but we didn't even mention Shea Theodore's injury and what that means.
Well, we talked about Travis Sanheim coming back in. I mean,
but now, you think about losing Shea Theodore on the back end. We talked about it from the Sanheim perspective, but Shea Theodore is a big loss for Team Canada. What do you make of that loss to the roster, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, especially because, again, Parayko and Morrissey in the first period, I was like, okay, Colton Parayko's big. He's kind of making some nice plays with the puck. And then as the game went on, the mistakes piled up a little bit for Parayko. And he talked about, the icing on the tying goal too. So it's Parayko and Morrissey weren't great. Doughty and Theodore looked good in the little bit of run that they got together. But now how does Sanheim and Doughty look? And if you can't really trust Parayko and Morrissey as much as you thought you could, now you kind of start to look at a blue line that was totally fine coming in. And after one game now, you're going, okay, no Theodore, two guys that underwhelmed. Oh boy, could we be in trouble come Saturday night if someone on this blue line doesn't step up and play better than they did the other night? So I know Drew Doughty's maybe still getting up to speed a little bit. That was only the 7th hockey game he's played this season. So maybe Doughty's got a little bit more to give. Maybe they need to jumble up the pairings a little bit and throw Doughty up with Morrissey or something like that and switch things up. But no Theodore, it's a massive loss.
Well, just remember something. You lose Theodore, one of the most mobile defensemen in the NHL. Travis Sanheim is a very mobile guy. He will not have a hard time from a skating perspective keeping up with this talent. Now, he's never played in these situations at this level, but he's a much better, more fluid, more mobile skater than Colton Parayko and then Drew Doughty are. So I don't think you're going to miss mobility, but obviously Shea Theodore is just in a different category. I mean, Shea Theodore is one of the premier defensemen in the National Hockey League. There's just no doubt about it. So look, Canada's blue line's getting thin already, and it's a story we're going to have to stay on. So Johnny, you won your 365 bet last night. You had what? You took the over, right?
Over,
it was 6.5.
It was 6.
So
once
6,
it was 3-3, we win. Yeah.
So you knew you were going to get it. What are you rolling with tonight for 365?
So we still don't even know who's starting in net for USA, right? I don't believe that's confirmed on who the starter is. Not that really changes anything tonight. Like Tyler said, I think tonight is a 3-4 goal kind of game for Team USA. We're going with Team USA -1.5 on the puck line. You can get that at -135 at Bet365. I think USA comes out and makes a statement game tonight and then takes the point advantage in the tournament. Remember, it is a 3-2-1 point system. So USA can take control over first place with a regulation win tonight, and I think they come out and do it. Oh, it was confirmed? Okay. The chat is correcting me. Apparently, Hellebuck is starting. I did not see that. So it's confirmed that Connor Hellebuck will be in net. Thank you guys in the chat for contributing, and sorry for my lack of awareness there. But yeah, that's the pick for tonight. You guys have any thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, listen, Tyler, I go back to what you said. You know, Mikkola, Lindell, Vakanainen, Mata, Jokiharju, not exactly the same level of D group that these other teams have. Wow, look who has joined the chat. How about this? We got a Vic sighting on his honeymoon joining the chat. He wants a Matthews daytime goal. Listen, Vic's gonna come back to the news that Mitch Marner got an 8-year, $14 million a year contract extension. So your boy Mitch was pretty invisible until he got the G-dub, Vic. So don't believe the headlines. Tyler, you like USA at -1.5?
Yeah, I like USA. I was just looking. I'm going to play that with a Matthew Tkachuk goal. So puck line and a Tkachuk goal gets me up to +425. Top line right winger, why not?
Yeah, okay. I like it. Just to answer J-Rock in the chat, no, there is no Morning Cup of Hockey tomorrow. We will be on next Friday after the championship game, which is next Thursday night. So unfortunately, no episode tomorrow, but that's going to wrap it up for today. Any final thoughts for the two of you? I can close it out, Colby. If you want me to do it 2 days in a row, I can give it a shot.
No, I think I'll take it from here, Johnny. Tyler, are you going to be staying on this tournament as it moves to Boston? Or are you back to the confines of snowy Edmonton after Montreal?
First off, it's snowing and colder in Montreal than it is in Edmonton, so I wish I was back home in Edmonton. But no, I'm going to Boston. I'm doing the whole thing. I don't fly back till I land in Edmonton like next Friday at midnight.
I'm staying with you in the Airbnb, I think, in Boston, Tyler. I think I'm coming up on Monday.
Oh, yeah, and you said you were going to buy the first case of beers for the room, too, so that's good.
I owe you from Jasper, so I got
you do. I totally forgot about that.
All right, Tyler, we'll check in with you again since you're going to be following this whole tournament. Obviously, you'll be on at noon today, right? DFO Live, that hasn't changed. The sheet at 3. Give us a like on the episode. Always subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hey, as much as we're enamored with this tournament, the trade deadline is coming in hot. And so make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. I'm hearing rumblings of a big time show out of the Daily Faceoff this year for the trade deadline, bigger and better than we've ever done. So make sure you're subscribed. Stay tuned to that. Like the episode. Watch the noon show today, DFO Live with Tyler and Frank. Watch the sheet at 3 p.m., which will have Jeff Merrick. On Thursdays, does he usually have Pierre Maguire? He's usually Pierre's.
I don't know if that's a recurring thing. I don't know if that's a recurring thing.
It's been pretty recurring, but Zach is in the chat.
Jeff said, really fun game last night. That was his post-game comments because he was kind of a hater on the Four Nations tournament. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Have to interrupt me during the outro. That's
well, you asked a question.
All right, listen, Tyler, we appreciate you getting up and doing this with us. I'm sure it was a late night for you. I'm sure you're not having any fun in Montreal whatsoever. Say hi to everybody for us, and we'll see you at noon. And then for everybody else, we'll see you back here right at 9 a.m. Monday morning. Have a good weekend, everybody.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe